There is a story, told in quiet villages, about a girl who was tired of being alone. She waited and waited for someone who could truly understand her. And then one night, she met a man who seemed perfect. He said all the right things and looked at her like he already knew her. But there was something she didn't question. Something no one else could see. He wasn't human. In a quiet village surrounded by tall trees and open land, where the wind carried stories from one home to another, lived a young woman named Amara. Amara was beautiful. That was the first thing anyone noticed. But beauty, in her case, was not a blessing. It was a burden. Because with beauty came attention. And with attention came expectations. Men often came to her father's compound. Some came with gifts. Some came with promises. Some came with pride. But none of them stayed. Not because they didn't want her, but because she did not want them. Amara had a habit of looking beyond what was in front of her. She listened, but never felt moved. She smiled, but never felt connected. To her, something was always missing. Her mother noticed this long ago. One evening, as they sat outside under the fading light of the sun, her mother said quietly, "You are searching for something that does not exist." Amara turned. "What do you mean?" Her mother sighed. "Perfection. It lives only in stories, or in places we should not go." Amara looked away. "I'm not asking for perfection," she said softly. But even as she said it, she knew she was lying. Time passed. One by one, the girls she grew up with got married. Their compounds filled with laughter, children, and noise. But Amara's home remained quiet. Too quiet. At night, she would lie awake, staring into the darkness, listening to distant sounds of life from other homes, and wondering if she had made a mistake. But each time a man came again, she would feel it. That emptiness. That disconnect. And she would turn him away. Not out of pride, but because something inside her whispered, "Wait." One evening, as the sky burned orange and the sun began its slow descent, Amara carried her clay pot and walked toward the river. It was a familiar path, one she had walked countless times. But that evening, something felt different. The air was still. Too still. Even the leaves seemed to hold their breath. As she approached the riverbank, she slowed down. Because someone was there. A man. Standing at the edge of the water. His back turned to her. Still. Unmoving. Amara frowned. Strangers were rare in the village. And those who came were always noticed. But this man, she had never seen him before. She hesitated. Her instincts told her to turn back. But something else pulled her forward. The man turned slowly. And when their eyes met, Amara felt it. Not fear. Not confusion. Something else. Something deeper. Calm. Like she had known him before. Even though she hadn't. He smiled. Not wide. Not forced. Just enough. "Good evening," he said. His voice was soft. Controlled. Perfectly measured. Amara nodded slightly. "Good evening." There was a pause. Not awkward. Just still. "Are you from this village?" she asked. He tilted his head slightly. "As much as anyone belongs anywhere," he replied. She frowned. "That's not an answer." He smiled again. "I suppose it isn't." Something about him was strange. But not in a way that frightened her. In a way that intrigued her. "What is your name?" she asked. He paused. for just a second too long. Then said, "You may call me Kaito." The name felt unfamiliar, but it lingered in her mind. They spoke for a while. At first, about simple things. The river, the village, the weather. But soon, the conversation changed. Without effort, without warning, he asked her questions no one had ever asked. Not about what she did, but about what she felt. "What do you want?" he asked quietly. She hesitated. No one had ever asked her that. Not like this. "I don't know," she said. He stepped closer. "You do." She looked into his eyes. And for a moment, it felt like he could see everything. Her loneliness, her doubts, her unspoken desires. "I want," she began. Then stopped. He waited. Patient. Unmoving. Finally, she whispered, "I want something real." He nodded slowly. "And if it exists outside what you know?" Her heart skipped. "I would still want it." He smiled. As if that was the answer he had been waiting for. As the sky darkened and the first stars appeared, Amara picked up her pot. "I should go," she said. He nodded. "Will you come back tomorrow?" She hesitated. Just for a moment. Then said, "Yes." And as she walked away, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Excitement. The next day, she returned. And he was there. At the same spot. Waiting. And so it continued. Day after day. Always at the same time. Always at the river. Always, him. He never missed a day. He never arrived late. He never seemed surprised. It was as if he knew she would come. Their conversations grew deeper. More personal. More intense. He listened. Truly listened. Not like others. Not with distraction or impatience. But with focus. With understanding. And slowly, Amara began to open up. She told him things she had never told anyone. And he responded in ways that made her feel seen. It didn't take long for people to notice. Amara was changing. She smiled more. She moved differently. There was a lightness to her. And the villagers began to talk. Who is he? Where did he come from? Why has no one else seen him clearly? Her mother grew concerned. One evening, she confronted her. Amara, who is this man? Amara smiled softly. He's someone who understands me. Her mother's expression darkened. Then bring him here. Amara shook her head. He prefers the river. Her mother stepped closer. No man who has good intentions hides himself. Silence. Bring him home, she said again. But Amara did not respond. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. Her mother's words echoed in her mind. The next evening, she went to the river again. But this time, she paid closer attention. Kaito, she said. Yes. Why don't you ever come to the village? He smiled faintly. I prefer quiet places. She nodded slowly. And your family? A pause. I have none. Something about the way he said it felt heavy. Not sad. Just final. She stepped closer. And where do you stay? He looked at her. Longer this time. Then said. Somewhere you would not understand. A chill ran down her spine. But she pushed it aside. That evening, she stayed longer than usual. The moon rose high. The air grew colder. She wrapped her arms around herself. Are you not cold? She asked. He shook his head. I do not feel the cold. She laughed nervously. You say strange things. He stepped closer. Does that frighten you? She looked at him. And for a brief moment, his eyes seemed different. Too still. Too deep. Like there was no end to them. Her breath caught. But then, he smiled. And everything felt normal again. No, she whispered. It doesn't. The next evening, everything changed. The sky was darker than usual. The wind heavier. And when she arrived at the river, he was already there, waiting. But this time, there was something different about him. Something urgent. Amora, he said, his voice softer than ever. Come with me. Her heart skipped. Where? To a place where you will never feel alone again. Silence. Her mind raced. Behind her, the path to the village. Her home. Her mother. Everything she had ever known. In front of her, the man who understood her. The one who made her feel whole. What about my family? She asked. They will not understand, he said gently. They will try to keep you here. And is that so wrong? She whispered. He stepped closer. Do you want to stay here, waiting forever? Her chest tightened. Because deep down, she knew the truth. No, she said. Then he reached out his hand. Then come with me. Amora stared at his hand. The world seemed to hold its breath. Behind her, safety. In front of her, something unknown. Something irresistible. She took a step forward and placed her hand in his. And that was the moment her life changed forever. Would you have made the same choice? Would you follow someone who feels perfect, even if something feels wrong? Because in part 2, you discover where he takes her, and why she should have never followed him.